Peter had always been different. While other children obsessed over toys or video games, Peter's heart belonged to animals. Hamsters, cats, dogs of all sizes, even parrots and pigeons. He loved them all. By the time he reached his 20s, Peter had developed a rare bond with creatures. His warmth, his calm nature, and his gentle touch made him a magnet for all living beings. Birthdays, holidays, and special occasions were marked not by gift cards or clothes, but by the arrival of a new furry or feathered friend. His friends and family knew exactly what would make him smile. His tiny apartment, later his house, slowly transformed into a living, breathing sanctuary of life and love. It wasn't just a hobby. It was part of who Peter was. And when he met his wife, Maria, it was as if the universe had answered his soul's call. She, too, adored animals. They married young, and their home quickly blossomed into a miniature zoo. Birds chirped from cages near the windows, cats lounged on sunlit rugs, and dogs slept peacefully in corners. Their laughter and the music of animal sounds turned their house into a place of joy, a home. But joy is fragile, and peace can be broken. It started with a birthday gift from a distant cousin. He had brought Peter a cat, not just any cat, a large, majestic, glossy black feline with piercing green eyes. Its coat shimmered like velvet, and its stare was oddly human. Peter was fascinated. Unlike the old myths he had heard growing up, superstitions about black cats being unlucky or being the form witches took to wander the earth, Peter laughed off such nonsense. He considered them primitive tales, relics of ignorance. To him, this cat was beautiful, special, unique. He named it Noir, and from the moment Noir stepped into their home, Peter was enchanted. He fed the cat by hand, let it sleep near his feet, and even talked to it like a friend. Noir followed Peter everywhere, from the garden to the bedroom. Maria found it sweet at first, but even she admitted there was something odd about the cat's eyes, almost like they understood too much. And then something in Peter's life shifted. He faced unexpected trouble, a string of financial issues, stress from work, and health concerns for his mother. The burden grew heavy, and for the first time in years, Peter became withdrawn. The smile that animals used to bring him began to fade. And Noir noticed. The cat tried to snuggle next to Peter, as always. It meowed softly, rubbed against his legs, and jumped into his lap. But Peter pushed it away. Not harshly at first, just distant. But Noir didn't understand. It kept trying, desperate for the attention and affection it once had. Then one evening, while Peter was sitting in the living room, visibly agitated, Noir approached once more. Peter snapped. With eyes clouded by stress and rage he didn't understand, he pushed the cat off violently. Noir, confused and hurt, hissed, something it had never done before. Then, in a flash, it leapt and scratched Peter's hand, claws sinking deep into the flesh. In reflex, Peter grabbed the first thing next to him, a small wooden stick used to stir the fireplace, and hit the cat hard. It yowled and collapsed, motionless. Maria rushed in, screaming. She knelt beside Noir, checking for injuries. It was still alive, but barely. She cradled the cat like a child, giving Peter a horrified look. Peter didn't speak. He simply walked away. That night, remorse consumed him. He lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to forgive himself. His hand throbbed from the scratches, but his heart ached more. How could he have done that? At around 3 a.m., Peter got out of bed and began to wander the house. As he passed the hallway, something made him freeze. Drawn across the wall, as if painted in black ink, was the image of a giant black cat, its eyes wide, its tail curled ominously around its legs. The drawing was lifelike, too lifelike. Peter's blood turned cold. This had not been there before. He ran to wake Maria. Together, they stared at the wall. She was speechless. "I didn't do this," she whispered. Peter believed her, but that only made things worse. They both stood there, hearts pounding, when Peter suddenly clutched his throat. Something, an invisible force, had wrapped around his neck, choking him. He collapsed to the floor, gasping, hands clawing at his own skin. Maria screamed. She dragged him away from the wall, and slowly the pressure lifted. Peter coughed violently, his eyes wide in panic. I was going to die," he whispered. That was just the beginning. That night, eerie screams echoed through the house. Whispers with no mouths, moans behind closed doors. Lights flickered on and off, objects moved, fires lit and extinguished themselves in the kitchen. Glass shattered, but there was no one there. And through it all, Noir sat on his chair, watching, eyes glowing, unmoving, almost smiling. Peter barely made it to sunrise. When the sun rose, Peter collapsed into sleep from sheer exhaustion. But even sleep did not bring peace. He dreamed of shadows, of cats with human faces, of ghosts clawing at his legs, dragging him down. He awoke with a scream, drenched in sweat. Days passed, or rather nights, because Peter no longer lived days. His world was now haunted nights, restless sleep, hallucinations and torment. He grew pale, thinner. His eyes, once filled with light, were now sunken and lifeless. Maria, too, suffered. But it was Peter Noir haunted the most. He tried to apologize. He placed food for the cat, tried to pet it. But Noir wouldn't come near him. It simply watched, always watched, from the darkest corners of the house. And then came the final night. It was a Friday. Peter and Maria had gone to visit a relative for dinner. It was the first time Peter had left the house in days. He even managed to smile once. They returned around midnight. The moment Peter stepped inside, he felt it. The air was heavy. The walls seemed darker. The hallway stretched too long. Something was wrong. As he walked into the living room, Noir was waiting. Without a sound, the cat lunged at him. Peter screamed as the cat bit and clawed at him. He tried to shake it off, but it was like iron, heavy and unmovable. Maria screamed for help, grabbing a broom and trying to hit the cat. But then, the room changed. From the shadows emerged other cats. Dozens, maybe hundreds. They crawled out of walls, ceilings, even the furniture. Their eyes all glowed red. And behind them, in the flickering light, Peter saw figures, human-shaped, ghostly, faceless, watching him. He fought. He screamed. He tried to run. but there was no escape. To Maria, it looked like Peter was fighting something invisible, swinging wildly, crashing into walls, bleeding. She tried to stop him, but was thrown back by a force she couldn't explain. In the end, Peter collapsed. His body covered in scratches, his face contorted in terror, and on the wall above his lifeless body, written in claw marks, were the words, "This is revenge for the black cat."